Here we are, Christmas 2015. Well, it's really the 22nd of December, but it's our Christmas. Emily will be here in a little bit. We didn't put up the big tree. We got this darling little Christmas bush. House isn't really too decorated, but there's Santa Claus up on the mantle. See him? I guess the sleigh is pulled by ducks or geese this year. And Grandma's cooking. She's got her Christmas shirt on. Look at how energetic she is. And there's some Christmas cupcakes, Christmas bacon. We're going to have bacon and eggs, and coffee cake. Huh? Okay, Emily should be here in a little while. Bye.
Oh, an egg casserole.
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm not a big fan of eggs though, so I don't think she. I wonder if she's making like a coffee cake too or something.
Well, it's usually
Isn't that sort of
you can like make Mexican ones.
That's
you
what I'm
lose
thinking.
You lose the egg in a lot of them.
That's what I'm thinking. She's doing something like that. Because I can do something with like a little bit of egg.
You don't like scrambled eggs? No. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna eat everything else.
that thing about pizza, I think I have read that pizza deliveries, they do a big business on Christmas night.
Really?
Maybe it's Christmas Eve. I don't
It's
know.
not.
It's probably
you're
Christmas
gonna
Eve.
Cut whatever you want.
Okay.
You want to?
No, last.
Oh, I didn't get. Yeah,
I have knives. There's a knife.
You want me to get the serving thing, Norma?
Sure. Last Christmas, Isaac and I spent the day kind of running around to both of our families, and then we got home and ordered Chinese. Because Chinese is open on Christmas.
Yeah.
If I don't finish it, I don't finish it.
Oh, that looks good.
You want a piece, Grandma?
That is actually coffee cake with maple frosting.
Yum. What piece would you like?
Any piece.
Okay.
Just so it's not minuscule. Thank you.
Just so it's not what?
Minuscule.
Oh.
Eggs?
Yeah. And if there's any extra frosting, it was with mine. It probably fell off of mine.
Well, this is a festive table. Well, it's nice we get you all to ourselves today.
You feel special.
Usually you're in a crowd.
Just me.
You didn't get eggs.
I don't really like eggs.
You don't? Okay.
I've decided that my mom made me scrambled eggs for too many meals as a child.
She used to make cheese eggs.
I still like scrambled eggs if you just like completely cover them in cheese and I can forget they're eggs.
Huh.
But I ate scrambled eggs so much as a kid that I think I just stopped liking them.
I think your mom knew how to make scrambled eggs and pork chops.
Yeah. And hamburger helper. We had a lot of hamburger helper.
Oh.
She's gotten better. She tells me all the time that she failed me as a mother, though, because she didn't teach me how to cook.
Well, I think that's kind of going out of style, you know?
I know, you still have to eat.
But now anybody can cook. I know more guys that cook well than girls.
My sister, at one time when her kids were small, was really into the whole homemaking thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she cooked basically everything from scratch, didn't she?
Yeah.
But I don't think, of course, she's a lot older, but
Okay.
I also don't think she's got the enthusiasm for it anymore. So
Well, she still does the
she
Christmas
still
thing,
does
yeah.
well. She does a lot more than an ordinary person would, or the
Thing is,
average
neither of
person.
her girls learned to cook at home.
Uh-huh.
She gave cooking lessons to Kevin and his friends, but I don't know, I guess she just assumed the girls would learn it
Yeah.
by osmosis.
Patrick cooks more than my mom for sure. He cooks a lot. I got him. We have this ongoing joke that's very stupid, and I don't remember how it started. Where Patrick and I buy each other hamburger-themed things every year. I mean, he has like a hamburger T-shirt, and we have a glittery hamburger ornament, like the most ridiculous hamburger-themed thing you can possibly find, which there are a lot. That's what we buy each other for Christmas. So this year I decided to be more practical and buy him like a burger cookbook.
Oh,
So it's a
there
big
you go.
cookbook full of like a bunch of different burgers. Because I didn't really
What
have the
kinds
money
of
to
thi-
spend
what-
on like just a
What
stupid
kinds
gift.
of hamburger things has he gotten you?
I had hamburger Post-it notes at one point. I have a hamburger phone. He got Mom a hamburger T-shirt.
You must have to work to do this.
It's funny. It's gotten ridiculous. I just got him like a hamburger like dog toy once. My favorite is I found at Target like 2 years ago this ornament that's about this big that looks like a hamburger and it's glittery. It's like covered in glitter.
How special.
It's so weird. Like I don't know why it's made, but it worked into our joke very well.
Have you done a hamburger magnet?
I don't think we do have a hamburger magnet, but I think Mom would kill me if I bought any more magnets. We have so many magnets on our fridge. Because that's what Mom gets when she goes anywhere, and that's what she's always asked me to get her whenever I go anywhere. So there's an entire side of our fridge that is covered from top to bottom in magnets completely. And she has a bag full of about half that many that have fallen off and broken, but she kept because they're from places, you know. And I think she has the hopes of fixing them one day.
Is that what she does, collect from places she's been?
Yeah, and places that I've been and everything. That's what I usually get her. It's cool though. I mean, you walk into our house and one of the first things you see is like all the places we've been.
Yeah.
She's got a couple pretty San Francisco ones.
I
A
used
giant
to like
one.
doing
She
that.
got a giant one for sure.
I used to like doing that. I had a routine for quite a few years at work. When I would go someplace, maybe I've told you this, I'd buy a poster and a coffee cup.
Okay.
So I would put up the poster in my office. I had a place for posters. And I would drink out of the coffee cup until the next trip.
Okay.
And then I'd buy a new poster and coffee cup, and then that's
That
what
makes
I-
sense.
Yeah. So sometimes they were pretty mundane places, you know, Albuquerque or something. But sometimes they were Thailand.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was fun. You do end up with quite a few coffee cups and posters.
Yeah. You have a Ball State coffee cup, right?
I do. A
Okay.
Ball State Grandpa
Okay.
coffee cup.
Because I almost got you one, but I was pretty sure that you had one.
Yeah. I do. And I use it. Well, the last time we talked was September 6th.
Okay.
And a thing that we spent, no, look at this.
Am I cheating?
Yeah. And a thing that we spent some time talking about was the play, because you were just, I don't think you'd even started rehearsals yet.
Really?
Um,
Yeah, that would have been around the time I started.
maybe you had just,
Yeah.
no, I don't think you had, because I don't think you had it cast yet.
I definitely had a cast. I cast it middle of August.
Oh, did you?
But I may not have
Okay.
started rehearsal.
So anyway, I looked it up. Grandma and I went to see the play on October 22nd, which wasn't opening night, but it was.
It ran the 20th through the 25th, I believe.
So how'd it go?
I think it went really well. It was a learning experience, for sure.
For you?
Yeah.
Like what?
Um,
You mean unexpected?
yeah, I was just juggling a lot, and I realized how much work it really was. I mean, I didn't have a sound designer, and I had projections in my show, and I didn't have a projection designer. So I was essentially doing those as well as directing. I didn't have a stage manager for like half my run.
Yeah, you said that.
So I got to tech and just realized that I had a lot less done than I needed to have done at that point, and it was kind of a scramble to get everything done before opening night. But I made it, and I learned a lot. I did a project later in the
semester. So there
semester.
was supposed to be somebody who did those rear projection things when the guys were typing on
No, I mean, I just chose a show with projections knowing I wasn't going to have a projection designer. I knew I was going to have to design the projections.
Oh, okay.
I did not know that I wasn't going to have a sound designer. And I probably wouldn't have picked a show with projections where I knew I was going to have to do the projection design if I knew I was also going to have to do the sound design. Because that on top of directing is a lot. But I learned a lot. I did a project later in the semester for a class where I did like the sound design. So I learned a little bit about, I'm using Audacity.
I've heard
program.
of Audacity.
It's just like a sound editing program. So I learned how to use that. It's free. It's not great, but it works for what I need it for. My eyes were definitely bigger than my stomach. The coffee cake's super rich. It's so good.
What, with the maple?
This one, yeah.
Yeah.
And I got double coffee cake. I took a little bite out of it, but I may set this aside and snack on it later. Midday snack.
Sure. Well, the show was great.
Thank you.
Did you ever get together with your instructors to critique it?
No.
Really?
Probably should at some point. I think the end of the semester just got crazy, and we all kind of forgot about it. But I'm going to be spending a lot of time with Karen next semester because I'm TAing her class and I'm assistant directing her show. So we'll talk about it. And we'll be able to talk about it far more objectively at that point too, you know, because I'll be pretty far separated from it.
Was that part of one of your grades? Was that graded?
Technically, I got practicum credit for it, but I take a practicum every semester, so it wasn't any different than anything else really.
Meaning not a grade, not grade points?
It's essentially like credit or no credit. It just shows that I worked on a show.
But no specific number of credits.
I can take practicum either for 1 or 0 credits, depending upon what works in my schedule that semester.
Well, we thought the girl in the show was really good, but you told us that was kind of her personality anyway. She was playing herself,
Absolutely.
which means that
How did she
whoever
get through life?
which means that whoever cast her was brilliant in casting her in that part.
It was an obvious choice. I mean, I know Sophie pretty well, so as soon as I picked the show, I had her in mind because I knew that she fit the part.
Well, the fact that you got in a little over your head is supposed to be a learning experience.
And when do you do your senior one?
It'll either be first or second semester next year. I'm not sure which yet.
Have you started thinking about what you're going to do?
Yeah, I've started reading some stuff. I would really like, because if it's second semester next year, the department does this thing where second semester seniors can't audition for shows. Or they can petition to audition if they feel like they haven't had a lot of good opportunities. But generally they don't audition. So my goal is to, because it'll probably be second semester, more than likely. I'd like to find my show by the end of next semester so that I can talk some of next year's seniors out of petitioning for shows for the main stage and get them on board for my capstone, so that I've got an idea of a cast kind of really on and I can start really thinking about
Well,
it.
you're talking about the play where the playwright had said these people need to be Filipino.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Not going to do it?
I can't go against the playwright and feel good about it. I can't do that. There's a play that was recommended to me that I haven't read yet, but it sounds super interesting, where it's basically set in a society, it's like today, but if women didn't have any rights to their bodies at all, and so abortion is illegal and things like that, and it's not super pro or anti-abortion, it's more like, if we lived in this society, these things would happen anyway. They would just be so much more dangerous. And so it's like these high school girls, and one of them gets pregnant, and they order like an abortion kit from this like illegal site online. And it's like, it's basically a commentary on like, making these things illegal isn't going to stop it from happening. It's just going to make it a lot more dangerous.
Yeah.
Which I think is really interesting.
Which of course is absolutely true.
Yeah, and apparently, I haven't read it, but the person who recommended it to me said that she has an abortion on stage. So, it's real cheery.
Yep.
And sounds like a lot of fun.
Sounds like the new musical.
Yeah.
But it's like these two girls who are like on a swim team together, and when she described it to me, she said that there are a lot of scenes that have some comedy to them, so that like the dark parts aren't as like, it's not all just like a huge show of like horrible darkness. There's like some very, very dark scenes, but there's also some aspects of comedy in it, so that there are like lighter.
People don't walk away feeling totally depressed.
Yeah. I don't know. She's supposed to send me. Every now and then I talk about this and remember that she still hasn't sent me the script, so I need to text her and ask her to do that. Because she said she has a PDF of it.
Well, that's kind of how speech and debate was. Mm-hmm. It was a very serious subject.
Yeah.
And significant. Mm-hmm. But parts of it were hilarious.
I also want to go significantly darker and more serious with my capstone, because that's kind of what I work better in. And essentially speech and debate, though it deals with tough things, it's a comedy. And so I did a comedy for my cave show, which is not really where my biggest strength is. So for my capstone, I want to go back to something a little more challenging, a little more dark, and see where that takes me.
You know, we went to the Yuletide.
Oh, how was it?
Oh, it was great.
I love Yuletide. My mom and I went a few years in a row.
So we really enjoyed it. We do it differently next time.
Did you see
the
organist, the organ player in the lobby?
No.
He was.
Oh, remember I said that sounds like the organ?
It's the same guy. It's Stahl.
Oh, is it?
Who played for us at Warren.
Oh.
He plays Yuletide every year.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard him when we were leaving.
Yeah.
So they were talking about future things they're going to do. Mm-hmm. And one of them is Fiddler on the Roof. We said, gee, we ought to bring him. No.
No. I feel like I should see more musicals. I've got a friend who I've gotten pretty close with recently who is like a super musical nerd. He loves musicals, and he's on this mission to like get me into musicals. He keeps finding like kind of darker musicals and like playing scenes for me and being like, you will love this one.
I think Fiddler on the Roof is kind of a dark musical.
We're doing.
I don't like Fiddler on the Roof.
I'm thinking about trying to assistant direct a musical for semester next year, because we're doing Parade, which is very dark, and I haven't.
Parade.
I don't know it super well. I don't know it enough to like tell you what it's about. But I haven't assistant directed a musical since I've been in college, and I feel like that's something I should do. And if I was going to do any musical, this one is pretty dark, really, and so it kind of fits.
Do you really think you need to do a musical?
I think it would be beneficial. Yeah.
I would agree, because once you get out in the real world, if an opportunity comes up that's really good, I don't
want to turn in a resume that doesn't have a single musical on it.
Yeah.
Mm. So you're not doing it because you love musicals, you're doing it.
No, also
you would do it as a career
Also
move?
the person directing it is someone I've never worked with. And so working with someone new is of course going to be valuable.
Why don't you reprise what you told us about your grades in your classes?
I got a B, a B+, and 3 A's.
In which classes?
I got a B in pre-modern theater history.
Pre-modern?
Which the teacher was a freaking nightmare. She's leaving Ball State next year, so I feel very glad that I even got a B, honestly, because the class was an absolute nightmare.
What does pre-modern actually mean?
It's basically from like ancient Greeks to super early 1800s,
Till
and then we take
Shakespeare?
after Shakespeare. It's
After
it's the English. It's up to the English Restoration, so about an era after Shakespeare. We go through, and then I'm taking modern theater history next semester, which is that through like the 20th century, not all the way through, but it's through like the 80s. And then I've already taken theater of the 21st century, which I took them out of order, but no. So I got a B in pre-modern. I got a B+ in history of acting and directing. My A's, I can't really. Okay. So I took 6 credit hours of my immersive learning because 3 of them were from the summer and 3 of them were from the semester, and I got an A in both of those. Which it's an immersive learning class, so like you're probably gonna get an A. You know, it's like a collaborative project. And then I took computers in theater and dance, which was kind of a blow-off class, but it was fun. But I got an A.
Computers and what?
Computers in theater and dance. So I built my website, and I got business cards, and a bunch of stuff like that.
Oh, so that was actually for credit.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
My website's a little bit updated. It's still not done, but
I haven't been there in a while.
I mostly just added my headshots.
I have your business card on my desk.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen it. Have I?
I think I gave both of you one.
It says, let's grab coffee.
Nope.
Oh.
Well, I'll show it to you.
Well, darn, I thought I gave both of you one. I have extras if you
No,
want.
you didn't have very many.
Okay. I have some extras if you want one. They're at home, but I can bring them sometime.
Yeah. That would be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I only ordered like 50 of them. But I don't have a ton of people to give them out to right now, really, like professionally, so I've got extras.
Do they
Well-
ever do any Shakespeare plays at Ball State?
Oh yeah, we did As You Like It this year. We did Romeo and Juliet my freshman year. We do Shakespeare about every other year.
How could any theater department not do Shakespeare?
Yeah. We did a very terrible production of As You Like It. She said it in 90s Seattle grunge. It was awful. It was more interesting than I thought it was going to be. I'll give it that.
Like it? Is it a comedy?
Yeah. It's also, I mean, to me, it's one of the most poorly written Shakespeare plays. There's like characters in it that I don't understand why they're there. You know, it's
I'm trying to place it.
it's like there's 2 girls.
Is it mistaken identity?
Sort of. It's Rosalind and Celia, and they are like cousins. And Rosalind's in love with this guy, but she can't be with him. And her father like disowns her, so she and Celia like run away and live in the forest. And Rosalind disguises herself as a man, and then re-meets like this guy as she's a man, and then they like talk, and then at the end she's like, "Guess what? I'm a woman. Love." And there's a big wedding, and everybody gets married. It was one of the interesting things was she gender crossed some characters, and so like one of the couples was a lesbian couple, and it was never really like commented on. It was just it existed and it was there, there were 2 lesbian couples actually.
And Willie didn't write it that way.
No. But that was interesting, and it worked better than I thought it was going to, but it still wasn't good. You can only stretch. I hate concept Shakespeare in general. I hate when you take Shakespeare and put it in like a different time, or when you try to, totally change, like just do Shakespeare. Like for the love of God, nobody ever just does Shakespeare, and I would love it if I could just see like a very traditional Shakespearean performance.
I would like Shakespeare if the language were updated.
They are updating Shakespeare actually. They're
Because I
rewriting.
can't understand half of what goes on.
Yeah, well, that's partly the actor's fault. I mean, like a good Shakespearean production, you're not going to get all of it, but you should get most of it. If the actors really understand what they're saying, they should be able to communicate it to you in a way that you
But
understand it.
nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or inflection, or like.
Yeah, and I get that. So seeing it is a lot better than reading it, for sure. Reading it just leaves me cold.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind them tinkering with the language a little bit, because there's some Shakespearean words that
that don't exist, that mean completely different
Yeah,
things
you
now.
can't even infer from
They're
the
actually-
word, like, oh, the root is
Yeah,
this.
there's a group of playwrights that are rewriting Shakespeare in modern language, and about half the theater community is like, yeah, that's a great idea, and the other half is pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
can see
could
that.
imagine.
It would be
I feel a
polarizing.
little pissed. I think there's already sites where they're like study guide, like help things, where you have a side by side of like the text and like kind of a more modern translation so that you can learn. And I think that having more of those resources would be more helpful, but I think completely rewriting it is, I don't think that's cool.
I don't either.
But wouldn't there be a middle ground potentially where, well, you'd have to be really smart and really schooled in Shakespearean or Elizabethan language, but you take passages where you'd say, look, the audience will get this by from the acting or by inference, but here's a word or here's a phrase.
Yeah, I don't know. I really think that modern translation should not be published independently. I think that modern translation can be a good thing, but they should be published with the original text. So like both of them in the same book, so that you're not replacing it as much as you're adding like a supplemental.
Well, the
Things.
thing I used in college was what was it called? The notes that
Spark Notes.
Cliff notes.
Cliff
Notes,
Cliff
yeah.
Notes. We use those alongside the plays.
Well,
Because I took a class in
I
it.
agree with that if you wanted to make it a project, but if you just want to go to the play, because I've told you, I know many times, one of the best experiences I had in college was a Shakespeare, I can't even remember what the play was now, but with an instructor that taught us, now see this language here, you have no idea what that means, but in Elizabethan times, this was what was going on, blah, blah, blah.
Right, but that's important. Like the historical context is so important. I would feel so icky putting on a production of Shakespeare in which all the text was translated to modern language. Like you might enjoy going to see it, but as an artist doing that would feel so wrong. I think
So
if,
you're
I think
saying
if
if
it's
you go to a Shakespeare
translated.
play, you need to study beforehand, huh?
No, I mean that's the actor's job. That's that, and the directors and the designers to give you that context.
Okay.
And, I mean, nobody does full-length Shakespeare plays, because if you did a full-length Shakespeare play, most of them would be like 4 hours long.
Oh, is that right?
So it's also in the job of whoever's cutting it. Because there's parts, like, there's a passage that's like, none of this means the same thing, cut it. You know? Most of the Shakespeare almost all of the Shakespeare you're gonna see is cut.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, Romeo and Juliet is like 4.5 hours long.
Really?
Yeah. And it would have been even longer in the time because set changes were so much slower.
Oh yeah.
So you would have been in the theater for 5 hours.
Of course, they didn't have much else to do.
Well, I found it easier to understand when
They could get their email on the breaks.
it was read out loud rather than just reading it to yourself. Your mind just couldn't stay on it.
Yeah, I'm taking a Shakespeare class first semester next year, and I'm pretty excited about it.
I thought it was
Well, I'm
interesting.
pretty excited about talking to you about it. Because really, I tried to read Shakespeare. Maybe I was required to or something. I cannot do it.
Yeah, it's really hard. That's why we use the Cliff Notes.
I've gotten a lot better at it because I have to. I mean, I haven't taken a single class yet where I haven't had to read Shakespeare in any theater history classes anyway, where I haven't had to read some sort of Shakespeare. I did my big group project in pre-modern theater history on Elizabethan England, so it was mostly Shakespeare. We focused on Macbeth, which is sort of about the gunpowder plot, which is very cool. That's what I wrote about.
And that was...
The gunpowder
I
plot
know
was
about
the
the
Guy
gunpowder.
Fawkes thing
Oh,
where he
yeah,
tried to blow
yeah,
up Parliament.
yeah.
It happened a year before Macbeth was written, and there's a lot of nods to
Oh,
it.
I have read that recently. What was the context? But maybe it was.
Yeah,
talking,
we were just
maybe he was
talking
talking to you because we have talked.
I
about
think
it.
so, probably. Yeah, that's what I wrote most of my report on. I did not get a good grade on that paper, but I didn't really try, so.
this was from your dad. He said, talk about your 2 Chicago trips. I know you just went to Chicago. There was another Chicago trip?
The ball game.
Maybe he was thinking about the ball game, but that was covered
yeah,
on
that
the
was forever
That
ago.
was covered on the last interview we
Yeah.
talked about
Was
that.
it?
Yeah.
I went to Chicago a couple weeks ago and just honestly just spent time with friends who live there now. And
It was
really
supposed to
nice.
be this project, and it fell through.
Yeah.
Do you want more coffee?
Yeah, please.
You take it black? You do, don't you?
Yeah. Karen had a stroke this
Here, why
summer.
don't I bring the... What?
And Karen had a stroke this summer,
Oh.
and her health has been not great. So we put it off until January because she couldn't leave town that weekend. But I still had been planning on going. So I
Oh,
went.
so you knew in advance.
Yeah,
that
I
it
knew
followed
like a
through,
week.
But you were going.
But I had already planned to go, yeah. And honestly, that was going to be like 2 hours of my weekend. Most of my weekend was going to be seeing some shows and hanging out with friends.
Yeah,
So I ended up
2 packets of sweetener.
yeah.
I ended up hanging out with a few of my friends who have moved out there in the last year, and it was so nice to see them.
We ask you this: were these the people who were whose apartment is up north of the ballpark? Or was
Both of them are, yeah, it's not the same people that we stayed with last time, but they live about 5 minutes away from each other.
it- okay.
And I did see, that was Brett and Jess that I stayed with last time, and then we stayed with Evan, Zach, and Kevin, who are all acting majors that graduated last year. And we saw Brett and Jess. It was so good to see them, and it's so nice to see, like, friends out there, like, making it and, like,
Yeah.
doing all right, you know? I mean, they're struggling, you know, but...
What are their secondary jobs?
One of them, my friend Brent, he does something, I don't know what he does, but he also does a lot of like odd jobs. So he like writes descriptions for websites, and he does like 2 of those a day and gets paid like $15 a thing. So it's not like a lot of money, but it's like enough extra that it helps them get
Like,
along.
can be
They're also
after
paying for
the
their
work
wedding. They're also paying for their wedding right now. They're getting married in a year, so they're working on paying all that off on top of kind of trying to make it. My friend Zach is a manager of a Potbelly's sub shop. My friend Evan is a server. I don't know what Kevin does.
Does this kind of reinforce your plan to go to Chicago?
Yeah, I mean,
You see how you could make it?
yeah, I mean, really, I'm looking at Brent as the biggest example because he's a director. The others are actors, so they're kind of going a slightly different path than I am. But yeah, and Brent is starting a theater company with a bunch of people from Ball State. He's been wanting to do this for a while. It's called Blue Goose Theater, and it's like
Blue Goose?
it's mostly devised work, so like new work kind of stuff. And he told me if I'm out there this summer, I can assistant direct a show, which is really awesome. And it would be technically like a professional credit on my resume. And what I would love to do is get involved enough that when I move up there next summer, I can help them start it. Because they're just getting started, so if I can help them like get it off the ground and be kind of one of the founding
He's getting
people.
financing together? This takes money, doesn't it?
They're kind of doing it on a volunteer basis. There's a lot of artists in Chicago who are trying to make it and are willing to take work wherever they can get it, even if it's just, they advertise it as like a percentage of ticket sales, you know, so like they're not actually paying anybody anything until tickets have sold, and then they're just giving them a little bit of that. But there's enough people in Chicago who need work or who need, you know, some kind of experience on their resume that they're willing to come and audition for things like that, which is really cool. So it's a bunch of us, it's a bunch of people who are just starting out and kind of helping each other.
So you could potentially get in on basically the ground floor of this
Yeah,
thing.
I think that would be really neat.
Oh, I think that would be really neat.
Yeah, and honestly, he did Stryker under Blue Goose. Technically, he like used like the Blue Goose email for like tickets and stuff. So technically, I assistant directed the first Blue Goose show, even though it wasn't like officially the first show. But he and I work together really well, and if I can assistant direct a show this summer, then hopefully I can really get closer to everybody who's working on it. I mean, I know most of them very well, but there's a couple people who are like 2 and 3 years older than me that I that graduated from Ball State, I just don't know as well as I know the other people. So getting to know everybody, kind of like getting to be part of the dynamic, and then, you know, I'll be there in a year after that. So that's really not that much time. If I could come up and help out with some stuff in between, even if it's just over breaks, selling tickets.
Is
at the
Miranda
shows.
ready to go to Chicago as soon as you get out of school?
We're probably going to wait and go in August because our lease doesn't end until August, and so there's no way that we could both afford 2 leases for a summer. What we'll probably do is both stay in Muncie that summer and work and save up a bunch of money, and then
Yeah.
go to Chicago.
But you were
in
just talking
August.
about assistant directing during the summer.
This summer.
Oh, this summer?
This summer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are
So-
you thinking you'd go up there and stay for
Yeah,
long
so
periods of time?
my goal is to also get an internship up there this summer. I've got a couple. I'm gonna apply at Steppenwolf. I've got a Chicago Shakespeare Theater. There's a few places I'm gonna apply for internships. So in a perfect world, I have an internship, and then in the evenings I'm helping out with rehearsals for their show and kind of balancing the two, which would mean that I'm not making money this summer, which is kind of rough, but it means I'm adding a lot to my resume and making a lot of connections up there. And dependent upon the internship, it's possible that I could get a serving job too. It would be a lot, but everybody up there is working multiple jobs, so
Yeah.
even the people I would be spending my time with are going to be as busy as I am.
Yeah, I think that starting out, you are going to feel like you're always treading water.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Internships don't pay, huh?
Some of
Some
them
do.
do, most of them don't.
They don't have to because there are so many people looking for them.
Yeah.
Well, I recognize it's a totally different field, but we always paid our interns.
It's also very
You
possible.
didn't have that array of people to choose from.
Yeah. It's also very possible that if I find an internship that I'm a really good match for and they really like me, that I could say, look, I'm really trying to make this work. Financially, this is going to be really tough. And then they might have, you know,
They
even if
might
they can
throw
give
you a
me
bone.
$200, like that helps.
Have you got somebody to stay with this summer?
I have, there's 3 different apartments of people. My goal is once I have an idea about internships, I'm going to send out a message to all of them and basically say, look, I need a place to stay. I can't really help financially. I can throw you a little bit of money. I can cook dinner once a week, you know, something. I'll do my park cleaning. Is there a way I can stay with you? I have a feeling the people I stayed with this last time would be totally fine with it. Brett and Jess would be cool to stay with, but they're also like a couple, and so that seems a little weird. As well as my friends Jackie and Angie are a couple, and so that would be a little bit weird. But Evan, Zach, and Kevin, I'm sure would be fine with me. I would have to sleep on an air mattress in the
We
living
have
room,
them.
but
We have them.
they have a nice one too that I could use. I mean, you know, which isn't perfect, but it's fine.
It'll be a great experience to look back on.
Yeah, well, and I'm good friends with all 3 of them, and so I'm sure it would be fun. I'm sure we'd have a great time, and I'll be 21 at that point, so we can all go out together and, you know, get the Chicago nightlife experience. Spend way too much money.
Yeah, dollars.
Yeah. Actually, what I learned when we were out there, because I was talking to Zach about it, is if you go to bars in Chicago, stupid expensive. He said that he and his girlfriend went out one night and bought some shots without really looking at how much they were, and they were $10 each.
Oh.
$10 shots. And they ended up spending like $50 on shots without meaning to. But if you go to the grocery store, liquor is cheaper than it is here.
Probably
Taxes are
a
different.
tax difference.
Yeah. But taxes are more in Chicago. Taxes are slightly
But
more.
liquor is taxed differently than,
Is it?
than
Yeah.
products.
Yeah, so it's slightly cheaper in Chicago, which is interesting. So like,
So house parties,
yeah, or like, you
Well, but
know,
that's not
drink
the
a little
same.
bit before you go out, you know?
that's not the same as the bar scene. Yeah, well, you just have to be careful.
Yeah.
You know, I think everybody has been caught with that, oh my God, I had no idea this was so expensive.
Yeah.
I certainly was.
Well, and it would be nice to stay with a group of guys, because then if we all want to go out, I mean, it feels safer, you know, and I feel like...
Is this a one-bathroom apartment?
They have 2 bathrooms.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do they know how much time a girl takes in the bathroom?
No, I'm kind of waiting to really talk to them until I know what I'm doing, because I don't
Well,
want to.
sure.
I don't want to throw that out there and then find out that I'm not gonna have an internship. You know.
Yeah.
It's a chicken or egg thing.
Yeah. So I
Definitely.
apply a bunch of places. I think if I get to the point of an internship where I'm interviewing, I'll talk to them. I may not wait until I have the internship. I may just
Yeah.
wait to see how probable it seems and then talk to them. That way I can also talk to whoever I'm interning with to, you know, talk about what my living situation is going to be for the summer and stuff like that.
A suggestion: start a diary and just make notes of all your experience as you go along through this
Yeah.
early
Well, that's
stage.
part of what this is about.
Yeah, but I mean,
you could talk
personally,
you could talk to your phone and read it.
probably that would be helpful to kids who are coming up after you. To be able to, you know, you can look back and you won't remember everything, but you can look through the notes and tell
Yeah,
them
it's been really helpful to have Brent, because he's 2 years ahead of me, so he's just far enough ahead of me that it's really helpful, you
Yeah.
know, and seeing him kind of getting a start and like figuring out how he's doing that and where he's applying and what connections he's making, and like what he did in college, like it's all so helpful. Because he and I are interested in a lot of the same things, so we're going to be on very similar paths. Granted, he has more money. His family helps him a lot. He's also paying for a wedding too, though, so I feel like that puts us in a financially very similar place. But he's been super helpful. I mean, I don't even talk to him that often, but every time I do, it's like, oh, that's what I need to do, you know?
Yeah, well, there will be people that will be wanting you to give them that advice.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that is helpful because he's ahead of you, but not so far ahead that it's irrelevant.
And he's not, like, I feel like if he was a year ahead of me, it would only be so helpful
that
because
wouldn't
it's a
be
little
enough.
too close.
And 5 years would be almost
would
too
be
much.
too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of a perfect distance. And honestly, he's already made some really great connections. And so, you know, in the next year, if I could get involved in blues and if I could get him to introduce me to people, it would probably, he's going to help me out a lot.
Is his family backing the blues?
I mean, I think they're supportive. They're kind of financially doing it on their own. They're doing their first show in like February, March, I think. Yeah. And then they're going to do another one over the summer. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but they're talking about doing Shakespeare. But I don't know yet. It'll be interesting. It's a good connection, and I would really like to be a part of it. Be a part of, like, starting it, you know?
Yeah.
Because if they had any success, it would be really cool to be able to say that I was a founding member. And honestly, in that kind of thing, I mean, you've got me and Brent, if I was involved in it, as, like, the directors, and so it's giving me, like, automatic directing jobs, really, is what it's doing. You know, I can build my resume, even if it's with this small company that's just getting started. I mean, I can assistant direct under him for a few shows, and then I'm sure there'll be a time where I'll get a show to direct, and then, you know.
Sure, and even though it's small and it's a startup, if it created some buzz, you know, if the shows were successful,
Yeah.
could be a
And then
great
suddenly
launching pad.
I'm a resident director at a
Yep.
decent company.
Yep.
Which would be really cool.
Yeah, it's a risk because it could fail.
Yeah.
But
But what have you got?
But that's also
really?
that's also why we're all kind of on this page from what I've talked to people about, where we're still applying other places. If we get other assistant directing jobs, we're going to do that too.
Yeah.
You know, so we're still making all these connections outside while trying to do this. And at the same time, from what I understand, a lot of them are making connections with people and then bringing them in to help with this, you know? So we're like finding people that we work well with from other places and getting them interested in this new company. I think it would be really cool. And I feel like I'm not in a place yet to talk to him and be like, I want to be in on this for real, because I'm not out there yet. But if I assistant directed a show this semester, then I can have that conversation.
Yeah, you keep your hand in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he and I work so well together that I don't see why it would be an issue. What else?
I don't know. You want to continue later?
Sure.
Or do you want to? Well, here's a good break point. He wants to talk about Halloween, Thanksgiving. Well, not Christmas. He's got Christmas here, but Halloween and Thanksgiving. What did you do for Halloween? You went to 2 parties.
I did go to some parties. I don't know, I think Halloween was kind of uneventful. I mean, it was eventful, but I just went to parties. It wasn't anything super special.
You had 2 different costumes.
I went what did I go as? I went as a devil one night, which was kind of my, like, boring costume. Hallie and I went as Minnie and Daisy one night, which was fun.
That must have been funny.
It was really fun.
What'd your costume look like?
Let me grab my phone. I will show you. I have pictures.
Oh, that is cute.
See,
A little padding there,
Huh?
huh? Added a little padding?
No.
I think so.
No?
Cute.
It looks like she did.
We did enjoy meeting Hallie.
Here, I'll show you my devil costume
She's
too.
cute.
Well, you don't have to worry about what to talk about around her.
No.
She just carries the conversation. Huh?
Oh, well, maybe you should hold
Yeah, hold
the
the
phone
picture
up
up.
to the camera.
No. There was my devil costume.
Oh, that's cute too.
Okay, let's see. Wait. Let me see how this is going to work.
Here, I'll just hold it up and tell me when it's there.
You could edit
Yeah,
it if
that's
it
what I
doesn't
was
work.
going to do.
That's my
Oh,
devil
you can
costume.
you can do it.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay,
Let's
now
find
let's
Minnie.
get. I don't know if that was really long enough. Okay. Okay, here's Emily and Hallie. Minnie and Daisy. Minnie and Daisy. Okay.
That's it.
And Thanksgiving.
Have you got
What did
another
you do
picture?
for Thanksgiving? Did we get together with you for Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Well, no,
went
we were
out
up in
together.
Ohio.
We got together like the Tuesday before Thanksgiving and just went out to dinner.
Yeah.
Just went out for dinner.
What did I do for Thanksgiving? I went to my grandma's, and then the next day we went to Bedford for Patrick's family.
Bedford,
Indiana.
Indiana. It's down south.
It's by like Bloomington,
Does he have a big family?
south of Bloomington. Not really. There's like 4 or 5 of them. They're pretty flexible. They kind of work on our schedule as far as, because Mom's family is very like, we have like traditions about like when we do our Christmas. Like we always do our Christmas Eve and like Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving, and like there's things like that that can't really be moved because our family's big. So Patrick's family kind of ends up being on our schedule whenever we can do holidays. We tend to do it the day after.
Any kids in your age range?
He has a cousin who is my age. They're very weird though. I don't know how to interact with them. They're like super small. They're very nice, but they're super small town, and they like I just have never really bonded with them very well. We talked more when I went for Thanksgiving. Me and his mom and his brother all talked for a while, but Clint, who is my age, he's like 2 years older than me. We just never, I don't know.
Are they all super liberals like Patrick?
No. Patrick rebelled hardcore against his family. They're not like super conservative. I'd say they're they're more conservative. They're like moderate conservative. I mean, they're not voting for Trump, but they're also not voting for Bernie, you know? Or Hillary. She tried to talk politics, and we were like, oh, let's just not.
Well, they if they're not voting for Trump, then they don't know who and they're not voting Democratic, then
She
they don't know who
said-
they don't know who they're
no.
voting for.
She said she liked somebody. I don't remember who. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know many of the Republican candidates because Trump is just completely overshadowing everybody.
Well, Cruz and Rubio are running behind.
She
Trump
might have said
in
Rubio.
the polls. Yeah,
I don't
Yeah.
hate him.
a moderate could be talking
I
about.
don't like him, but I don't hate him.
No,
Anybody's fine compared to Trump, honestly.
yeah.
No, not Cruz. Not Cruz.
Yeah, well, not anybody.
He's just a Trump wannabe.
Rubio really needs more seasoning. He might be ready. He's 44, you know.
And he hasn't. Even though he's been in government, he hasn't participated in government.
Well, he's
that
a
much.
first-term senator, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think he's really got the
He
chops.
doesn't even
But
like his job as senator, so he doesn't go on a vote.
Is that it?
Well, no, that's not it. But we'll have another session.
Yeah, we have dinner yet.
Yeah. Should we do presents?
Now we're gonna go for a
I
walk
don't know.
first.
I don't know that you have any.
No?
Maybe one or two.
Do you want to see my nephew?
Forgot. Oh,
Dominic. I got to hang out with him for a while on Sunday.
So you've been home already?
he's a couple months old now, huh?
He's 3 months.
3.
I had my Grandpa John side of the family's
Oh, yeah.
Christmas.
How's Devin doing with it?
She's doing pretty well. She's tight on money, but she's a great mom. Isn't he cute?
Yeah.
I love him.
Big dark eyes.
His eyes are like gray.
Are they?
Yeah, they're like almost blue.
Oh.
He's gorgeous.
You realize how much you look like Devin?
Yeah. I love him.
He's wide-eyed. You ought to show this to the camera.
He's super wide-eyed. I was there when he was born. Like, as soon as he was born, he was just like looking around, taking everything in. Like, he's so cute.
Don't get to do this twice, so he's going to look around and make sure he doesn't miss anything.
Yeah, I love him.
How much
he's
time
so
did you
content.
spend with him?
Well, I ended up just like holding him while Devin was eating, and because we had our family Christmas, so I just yeah.
During the family Christmas.
Yeah. I just hung out with him during that. He's so content though. Apparently he hasn't been feeling well, so she was worried he was going to be real fussy, you know. But a lot of that side of the family hadn't met him yet, and so he was just getting passed around, and he was totally fine meeting everybody.
Is she back to work?
Yeah.
Happy with her childcare?
Yeah, she's got a friend, one of our childhood friends, actually someone who used to live in the neighborhood that we lived in together, Mom's old neighborhood. They live down the street. This kid's grandma is watching him for like $75 a week or something cheap like that, which is pretty good. She's not super happy with it, but I think it's tough because it's so cheap. There's just things that she, like her parenting style, that this woman refuses to do. She has been trying not to like lay him on his back too often because he's getting a flat spot on his head. And she's asked the babysitter to lay him on his stomach more often than not. And she said without fail, every time she comes to pick him up, he's laying on his back. And she said that something about when Devin is feeding it, like, I don't know. It's just like the way that Devin parents is not convenient for her. It's not that it's bad, it's just like she just won't respect what Devin wants done with her son, you know? And none of it's like super awful things to ask. It's just like, oh, I would rather he eat at this time than this time, you know? She asked if Devin could change his sleep schedule. Or she told Devin that she's been trying to change his sleep schedule, which the conclusion I draw from that is that she just wants him to sleep all day. Like, she's with him for most of the time when he's awake, and she wants to not have to watch him as much, so she wants him to be asleep. But that would mean apparently she had been trying to change his sleep schedule without telling Devin, which would mean that he's up later at night and Devin has to work.
Yeah,
Like, that's not cool, you know?
yeah.
Like, she's paying this woman to watch her kid, not to, like, have him sleep all day.
Yeah. That's not good.
Yeah. So it's not like she's mean to him. It's not like she's, like, a bad person. She's just disrespectful of what Devin wants.
So you think it's like $75 a week? What do you
Yeah.
suppose the going rate is? That's
Over
got to be
100.
way under market.
Over 100 at least. At least. I'm sure if she went to, like, a traditional daycare, she'd be paying $150, $200.
So that makes it a tough choice.
Mm-hmm.
So not only because of the money, but she knows this woman. It's not like looking up daycare in the phone book and dropping your kid off.
In California, it's $300 a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or was when we left.
I wish I was
Thank goodness we don't
available.
live there anymore.
I wish I was available more often because I've told her whenever I have a few days off, like if she, like I can
think
watch him.
She needs someone a little less busy.
Yeah. I was gonna watch him the day before Thanksgiving because she had to work and her babysitter like had the week off, and so my grandma was watching him, which is fine. But Devin was having to drive like 40 minutes up to my grandma's every morning and then drive to work.
Yeah.
And so I offered to watch him, but I think she either ended up getting the day off or something. But I might see if there's a couple days over break because I'd like to spend more time with him. He's gotten to the point he recognizes me. It's really fun. I got there and he like reached out. I love it. I mean, I love him.
Well,
He's
those
great.
mother instincts are really strong.
He
It was the hardest thing in the world for me to leave you and I'd come out
Yeah.
to visit.
I think it's so. I just think it's so cool that he recognizes me. I mean, he's only 3 months old, and I don't get to see him as near as often as I would like. But he recognizes me, and I think that's so fun. I went to my grandma's. Me and Devin and Dustin and Destiny were all at my grandma's a couple weeks ago, and I was sick, so I couldn't hold him. And the whole time, he just looked at me. Anytime anybody else held him, he just looked at me like, "Why won't you love me today?"
Oh dear.
He's so
So
sweet.
guys, let's clean up.
Let's clean up,
Yeah.
or just put them in the sink. I did not use my knife. Did you not use your knife?
No, I didn't.
Did you not use your knife? Give me your knife. We're saying goodbye for the video now. To be continued.
Bye.
Goodbye.